Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Awesomeness in Action radio show. I'm your host, Rashana Price, known as the Giver of Awesomeness, international author, coach, speaker, and trainer. Today we have on the show with us Ileka Falette. She is one of our sponsors, so we thank you for being here. We are also sponsored by Erie Success, which is a corporate sponsor that helps with adult bullying and conflict resolution. You can learn more about Erie Success by going to eriesuccess.com. That's EYRIE success.com. So, Ileka, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Rashana, thank you for having me. I'm loving this.
I'm glad you are here. So, thank you for being a sponsor. And as a sponsor, you get a spotlight and a shout out. And we're going to have so many great interviews over the next several months because listeners need to know about you and your story. So, why don't you introduce yourself and just tell everyone a little bit about you?
All right, so just kind of real quick, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. Um, I'm Ileka. I have, well, uh-oh. Give me- um, okay, so I'm Ileka, and my name's Ileka. I'm a wife and mom of four. And 4 years ago, I lost 120 pounds in about a year through the ketogenic diet and exercise,
Yes.
and mindset changes. And I specialize in helping people 30 pounds or more overweight,
Yeah.
and also kind of looking to be the person who helps folks who are potentially going into weight loss surgery, helping you avoid weight loss surgery because that's the key.
Hmm.
About 50% of people who get weight loss surgery end up gaining it back in 2 years. So
Wow.
I want to help those women really change their mindset around food and relationship with food so that they don't have to even do weight loss surgery. And if they have, I want to help them so that they don't gain the weight back. So that's my mission.
That's cool. So, I'm glad that you are able to talk about that. We're going to talk more in depth because this is your life mission. First and foremost, congratulations for the weight that you've lost and kept off because it's
Mhm.
been over 2 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, almost
Almost
4 years now.
almost four
Nearly
years
four
now.
years now. I can't even believe it.
Yeah, like you lost a whole person
Yes.
and you are a mom of four. You've been married for 14 or 15 years. Is that right?
Yeah. How many years now?
We
Yeah,
won't
14.
tell.
It's 14 years now. I know. Don't tell him I forgot.
We won't tell him. We won't
It's
tell
been,
him.
I mean, it's forever. We've been
It's
together since college. So,
yes, and you have four children. So you know the I'll say the stresses and the hurt maybe even around having to have children, putting yourself on the back burner. And we've been friends a long time,
yeah, exactly.
long time. And
Mhm,
so the journey towards even stepping out there and starting your business using the weight loss as the platform,
mhm.
most people don't know that you have an engineering background. So tell us how you got from engineering to engineering health. I'll say it
Yeah,
that way.
I know, right? It's crazy because I never thought this would be me. I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur. That was not in my in my vision, in my plan at all. For me,
Yeah.
my thoughts were, oh, I'll run up the corporate ladder,
Okay.
and that was my plan. And I was on my way there. And then I had to look at myself and I said, I'm spending so much time at work, so much time for kids, obviously, so that's taking a ton of my time. And I turned around and I was well over 300 pounds. And I said, well, what is going on? I need to make a change. And so, as I'm, gone through, I was an engineer and then I kind of moved into the operations piece with HR and things like that. And I'm helping all these people and even career coaching, helping those people, right? Because that
Yeah.
was a part of it.
Yep.
And I looked at myself and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Um, I mean, I wasn't going to just quit my job and be like, oh, I'm focused on health. That didn't happen. It wasn't like that,
It wasn't overnight. Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yes.
overnight. It was changing myself first. So I went in and, really started. I had my last child, my daughter. And when she was born and she started to track a little higher on the scale, we go to the doctor's office and she'd be, you know, 40th percentile on height and 96th on weight. And I'm like, I can't, I started literally, I felt like I had a flashback
Wow.
from my childhood. And
Okay.
I said, I can't do that. I can't allow her to have the childhood that I had. My
Mhm.
first diet, I was 8 years old. So I'm like, I cannot, yeah, I
Wait. We gotta
cannot.
like pause there, right? Because all the listeners that are listening, especially moms and dads that have children, at 8 years old, you were put on a diet. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
What was that?
So here's the thing, our parents, they didn't know any better, right?
Of
I mean, they
course.
didn't really know. They're just listening to what the doctor's telling them. So at 8 years old, the doctors told my mom that I was, I weighed too much. And I did, I weighed a lot for an 8-year-old, right? I
Mm-hmm.
was 135 pounds. I'll never forget it because I remember getting on the scale because it was a whole process. I had to see a nutritionist. I had to write down everything I ate. And I'm 8 years old,
Right.
so of course I'm writing down stuff, but then I'm doing extra stuff
Extra
that I
stuff.
just,
Right.
I'm eight,
You're eight.
yeah.
Right.
But I remember the thing is what they didn't pay attention to at the time because this was the 80s late 80s, so they aren't necessarily paying attention to that, to the fact that I was also 5 feet tall,
Yes.
so if someone's 5 feet tall today and they're 135 pounds, no one is saying they're overweight. Watch what you eat,
Right.
because that's, I mean, it's a little high, but it's not drastic. It's not go on this diet, see a nutritionist, write down everything you eat.
Yes.
Overweight,
Yes.
you know?
Shaming and blaming
Exactly.
and at
Yep.
8 years old, your brain doesn't really know what's happening other than, okay, now I have to do all this extra work when I want to go outside and play, like or do whatever.
Exactly. And so what
Yeah.
it did for me was it forced me, it now my mind is on, I need to be on a diet. So from that point on, from 8 years old on, I'm thinking, oh, I've always got to watch my weight.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I'm watching my weight, the scale
It's going
continued
up.
to go up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been on every diet. And my mom would try and support, she'd do the diet, she'd do it with me, that
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing. But I've been on everything. Back in the day, they had like the
Atkins,
grapefruit diet. No, well,
grapefruit
I'm sorry,
diet.
grapefruit
Oh,
diet, the cabbage
oh,
soup diet, like
oh
the
no.
old stuff. Yeah. There was some diet where we had to eat eggs all day. Like it was like, like all these different
Oh
things.
yeah, you're going places I've never been. Okay. Okay.
Right.
Eating eggs all
So,
day.
we did all that and I tried it all.
Okay.
And nothing really changed. I mean, by 12, I was 200 pounds, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, and then it just continued.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of my story, my history. So with that, whenever I talk to a mom who, has a child who's overweight and she's, thinking about what can I do, what can I do, I talk to her about mindset things and managing
Yes.
things amongst the entire family, not just focusing on this one child and saying you have to lose weight. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you focus on just the one child, you have to lose weight. They're seeing their siblings eating candy and cookies and whatever, and they're sitting here with a bar of lettuce, or
Yeah, or
whatever,
like they got
carrots,
what the bump on a log, which is the peanut butter and the celery sticks. It's
right,
like nobody wants that. Yeah.
right. Not when they're eating a Snickers bar.
Snicker.
This is not the same as a
This is not the
Snickers.
same thing. Yes,
So,
yes. So
so just kind
transforming
of,
the mindset.
yeah, and
Yes.
transforming the whole family. Like, look at this as the entire family, because guess what? It's really not okay that the whole family's eating Snickers and cookies and ice cream 24 hours a day and pizza and McDonald's and whatever, right? Pizza
Right.
and
Fast
and
food.
all fast foods, yeah, and all
Yeah.
that stuff. When the one kid is eating, carrots and celery, because that one kid is going to rebel and start eating everything, or just have the mindset of something's wrong with me,
Yeah.
and that's something we don't want.
Mhm.
You know?
Absolutely. We don't want that mindset. We have been talking with Ileka Falette, who is known as the Keto Mommy Makeover. You can find her on Instagram and you can also go to her website, ilekafalette.com. That's ILEKAFALETTE.com to learn more. We were talking about transformation. You've been on a weight loss journey. You yourself have lost a whole person, 120 pounds. You've kept it off for like 4 years now. So now let's talk through your transition and how you transform other people, because I know you have a business that you've helped hundreds of people lose weight. So let's talk more about that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's after I lost weight, and I was still in corporate America when I lost the weight. I
Mm-hmm.
had to change that mindset. So it wasn't like I, got out of it and just started losing weight. I actually, began waking up earlier. Just changing the mindset around
Mm-hmm.
how I looked at health. Instead of, oh, I have to get up at this time to get this stuff done. I was like, I get to
Yes.
move my body every day. I get to, I'm able to do this because I think about the fact that if I go back 4.5 years, right, I was literally, um, I was literally at times walking like I was like 80 years old. My feet were so bad with plantar fasciitis. My knees had arthritis in both knees. Like it was bad, you know?
Mhm.
So I go from that and I'm like, now when I wake up in the morning at 5 a.m., I get to do this. Like this is
Yes.
a blessing. So, while I was still working full time in corporate America, executive and major company,
Big
I,
titles, big jobs.
right,
Yes.
big jobs, big titles. I decided I needed my body and what I felt like to match my achievements in corporate America and in work, in my field of study, in my field of yeah.
Say so let's like pause there because you just dropped what musicians would say are bars,
Yeah.
where you wanted your success, the external success, the job, the title, you wanted your
Mhm.
body to match that inside and out.
Right. It was huge. It was a
Yeah.
huge thing for me because honestly, I go into the office because back when we could go into places,
Right.
right?
Back
So
when, way
back
BC
when,
before
right?
COVID. Yes.
Exactly. You know, I'd go into the office or be speaking at an event, and my mind is thinking, everyone's looking at me, and I wonder if they're even taking me seriously. And sometimes they weren't because of the way that if she can't take care of her health, why would I believe that she can, teach me talent development? Or why would I believe that she can coach me in my career?
Mhm.
All those things. And so that actually played into it. No matter how pristine I'd look, there were some people who just wouldn't take me seriously because of my weight at the time. And I
Yeah.
would be up there thinking about that. That'd be in my head as I'm presenting. And I'm sure that would even play into my confidence sometimes. And sometimes it played into my career progression.
Yeah,
So these are
absolutely.
major things. Mhm.
Absolutely. What is it? The research says that people that are overweight make less money, get
Yep.
promoted less,
Yes.
because the image and probably even more now than ever, as society is very much brand driven, how someone looks,
Yes.
it matters. And so being a brand ambassador of sort, depending on how
Mhm.
your body is shaped, that can hinder you. It's not right,
Yeah.
but
Definitely not right.
it's not
But it's
right,
real.
but it's real. Right.
Yeah, it's not right, but it's real. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I knew I needed that change. So I
Mhm.
started to get up early in the morning, get that workout in and then I'd have to, get the kids together and, get them off to school. And then I'd have to go in and start my day at work,
Mhm.
come back and make sure I made good meals and healthy meals for the entire family because this wasn't going to just be a change for mommy. This needed to be a change for everyone because I needed to ensure that my kids 30 years later or 20 years later or whatever
Mhm.
weren't in the same situation as I was. Like
Absolutely.
my worst fear was that, and I talk to my clients about this all the time.
Yes.
My worst fear and many of their worst fears is that 20 years from now, their daughter will be sitting right here talking to someone like me,
Mm.
trying
Yeah.
to change their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's really
because
about
it's
breaking the cycle, breaking this
exactly.
unhealthy cycle that exists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly it. Many
Hmm.
people will be like, "Oh, well, I have diabetes, or I have, or type two diabetes, or I have, high cholesterol, high blood pressure." And you're like, "Well, it's hereditary because my mom has it and my aunt has it, or whatever, right?"
Hmm.
And what studies are finding now is sometimes it's hereditary, but actually many more times what's hereditary is the way we eat, the
Yes.
way our relationships with food, the emotional eating. All those things are more hereditary than high
Hmm.
cholesterol is.
Yeah. The how the trauma that exists in the home is masked with food. Stop
Yes,
crying, eat this candy bar. You'll be all right.
exactly.
You
I mean, it
here's a
starts as a
be
baby.
quiet. Here's a bag of chips. Right?
Right,
Like,
exactly. It starts as a baby. Oh, the baby's crying, give him the breast or give him the bottle.
right.
It starts then,
Oh, you're
and
right.
that's what they learn.
Yeah, the soothing with food
Exactly.
versus
Yep.
helping children that then turn into adults self-soothe or actually experience the emotion fully so it can heal. Like, you're
Exactly.
frustrated and angry, be frustrated and angry, and then
Yeah,
when you subside that, let's talk. Now let's
exactly. Yep.
let's let's bring you down. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's get to the root of it, you
Let's get to
know?
the root of it. So
Yep.
so one of the things we just talked about in terms of these emotions, these high emotions, especially the sense of wanting to do something, striving to do something, and having it be hard, right? Been on and off diets. You now have a sustainable practice with keto. Talk to us about the last time you had that ugly cry making the transition from one type of diet or one type of lifestyle into this keto lifestyle that you now live.
Mhm. So, so I remember there was, and this was a day essentially that I made the change,
Okay.
right? It was like
Yes.
right in all these things happened in a row, and it was crazy. So first, I was sitting down. The whole family was sitting down in the living room or something, and my son, my oldest son, who was I think he was 7 at the time, maybe 8. And he said, oh man, I really want to play this game with you, mom. We'd have to get down on the floor, and you're just so fat, so you can't really get down on the floor and play. And and I thought, oh my goodness. And my baby, he's the greatest kid ever.
Yeah. So he
So
didn't
he's
mean,
just
he's just out of the mouth of babes. They just like spew.
he's just saying,
Yeah.
yeah, because he's like me. He just says what's in his head. And so he's not even realizing that fat's a bad thing to say either. At 7,
Right. You
you
don't
may not
know.
even understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's just talking, and so it cut me to my core. I'm
Mm.
like I could feel my entire body, like I thought the tears were just gonna start flying right then.
Okay.
And so my husband's like, oh, no, 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 buddy, don't say that. He's trying to like reprimand him. And I'm like, no, 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 it's fine. And I'm sucking in tears. I'm like, I just got to run upstairs for a second so I could, so I could cry.
Right.
So I could really cry. So that happened. Then just about the next day was something in this, like, it was all in a row. So I think it might have been even the next day.
Okay.
My daughter had a doctor's appointment, and that's when the doctor was telling us that she's like off the scales, like she's tracking high when it comes to weight. So I'm like, oh my goodness. And of course, flashback to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to Target on our way home from the doctor. And because that's what we do,
Okay.
we go to Target all the time. And I got all 4 kids with me. So we're walking around at Target and stuff. And my son, my middle son, he runs off, right? And so I'm like, well, let me run and catch him. So I'm trying to catch him and I can't catch him because remember, I'm walking like I'm essentially 80 years old, right? And not even like an unhealthy 80-year-old, because I know 80-year-olds who are moving, right?
Right. Right.
So an unhealthy, I
An
should say,
unhealthy 80-year-old.
right?
Yes.
So I'm walking like that, and I couldn't catch him. Like I'm running, trying to run, but I couldn't get him. And
Mm-hmm.
so some random stranger behind me had to run past me and go get my son. So, and they ran and got him. And my thoughts went to, number one, Target is always right next to the street. So say he'd run out the door,
Right.
a car could have hit him at any point. Or what if this person, this kind stranger, was crazy and had grabbed him and kept going? If
Right.
I couldn't catch my son, I definitely couldn't catch the stranger.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm.
was terrified. Like that was the moment. Like I
Wow.
went home, heavy cry, crazy cry, like hugged my son during that moment, like crying then
Yes.
at Target, looking like a crazy person. And then home crying because the kids are all like, what's wrong, mommy?
Mm-hmm.
And just about that
Yeah.
next day, it was like time to change,
Time to
you know?
change. Yeah. It's a series of events that I like to call the Hound of Heaven,
Mhm.
because sometimes there's this need to do something different and it's internal and it kind of is like a feather, like, oh, it'll
Mhm.
just kind of happen. And then it just gets louder and louder and louder. And it becomes this Hound of Heaven where it's like, for you, it's this stacking of
Yeah.
events that's like, all right, like I can't, God forbid something happened to my children like that. That's something that can't bear. So it's time
Mhm.
to make a change.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so then you
exactly.
found keto. You
Yes.
found this practice. What was that like? How did you know keto was a lifestyle that you could incorporate into your health journey?
Mhm. Yeah. So what it was is I'd had friends who told me about keto before. The first time I actually heard about keto was a friend whose son had epilepsy. And so
Oh,
she put him on keto, like the doctors put him on keto, and her and her husband decided to do it with them to support their son. And so she's talking about it and she's like, I don't know how I'm eating all these fats and losing weight. And I'm like, well, tell me a little more about that.
right.
Like
Like
I'm so happy her
fat?
son, right.
Yes. What is
I
happening?
was I'm so happy her son is doing well because her son, after doing it for a year, he hasn't had a seizure since. And I think it's been 6 years. I think it's been 6 years now, actually, since,
Wow.
yeah. But so that's a different way of doing
That's a different
keto.
way.
It's
Yep.
doctor, but it's still the same concept. Like she wasn't doing it like her son, but she was still doing it. And she was getting help and losing weight. So I thought, let me look into this.
Okay.
But I didn't, because remember, that was 6 years ago. I didn't look into it. But I just kind of listened and thought about it, but not actually done anything. And then a friend of mine, she was telling me that she was going to do something, and she'd already started something where she was getting packaged foods, but it was putting her into this thing called ketosis. And I was like, well, I'm not really a packaged food gal. So I was like, but let me look at this ketosis thing, because I've heard about it before from another friend. And now you're telling me about it too. So I was like,
Yep.
let me start researching. So I
There's that
decided to try
hound.
it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it. So I decided, I was like, I'm going to try it. And so I did. I tried it. And it was like the weight just started coming off, you know?
Mhm.
And I realized, though, that it wasn't enough. I needed to incorporate more. So the first time I tried it, the weight fell off 30 pounds in a month. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. I'm like, this is my thing. I can do
Yes.
this. Here's the thing, though. I hadn't changed the mindset. So at first it was essentially another fad diet for me, because
Oh,
I lost
okay.
those 30 pounds in a month, and within 2 months I gained all 30 back plus some.
Really?
Yes. And so
Okay.
I gained it back. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I did so well. I was so proud of myself,
That
because I never
mindset.
lost that drastically. But yeah,
Yeah. What
mindset
was the
had
big
changed.
thing that you had to overcome when you had to shift the mindset for you?
Yeah. It was the relationship with food. So I worked on my relationship with food, and also did my research, because the first time I really wasn't doing it correctly, and I
Okay.
didn't know, wasn't doing keto correctly, and I didn't understand that.
Okay.
And so I had to do more research, understand it, understand what keto was, how it worked, why certain things were happening.
Hmm.
So finally I essentially like became a master in it, because I started learning. I dug in,
Yeah.
did my research, and I incorporated fitness, incorporated other things, and really started working on relationship with food, and working on why I was eating the way I had, and
Hmm.
what was going on really within me.
Hmm.
And once I did those things, and I started again, now the weight came off, and it was off. Now it was off for good. And there's always going to be times where, you may slide back a little bit, but
Yeah.
now you have the mindset tools to move forward, to
Hmm.
say, what am I doing? And
Hmm.
not allow yourself to slide all the way back, you know?
Yeah. Not all the way back. And, or the other thing is that I know that in some of the clients probably that you've worked with, or even in yourself, that there's a lot of damage that's done when there is perceived failure, right? Like, oh, look at you. You just did it again. You just,
Mhm.
that inner talk that makes it
Yes,
feel like, well, yeah, so what? I had a bad week. That doesn't mean I can't get back on. I'll just start again. There's always a new start.
exactly. And I love that you said the inner talk, because what happens is, one of the things that I tell my clients, I say, the things that you say to yourself, one day say to your daughter.
Right.
See if you, yeah. And no one will. That's the thing. None of us would ever say the things that we say to ourselves
Yep.
to our child, or let someone else say that to your child.
Right. You'd be like,
You'd be taking your earrings off. Like all of a
exactly.
sudden, like you're ready to go in. So that
Yes.
self-talk is so important. So we have to change that too. That's another thing that I work on changing with my clients, is the self-talk,
Okay.
how we
Yeah.
look at ourselves, how we perceive ourselves, because
Mhm.
you don't just wake up 120 pounds lighter and decide, oh, now I'm going to love myself. You
Right.
know, you've got to find that along the way, or earlier on.
Yeah, for sure. The self-talk, changing the relationship with food, really figuring out what does food represent that's missing internally, healing that part of you has been a part of your long-term weight loss sustainability, I'll say. Is
Yes,
that a good way
definitely.
to say that? That's
Yes,
so
definitely.
that's
Mhm.
powerful. And so as you've scaled your business, let's talk about the programs that you have, because I know that you've done challenges online, you have a great following on YouTube and on Instagram. So how have you created the fun and challenge for people that are really looking to make change?
Mhm. Yeah. So one of the things that I've done, so my programs, I have a one-on-one program, I have a membership program, and then of course I have my YouTube channel and things like that, right? And so one of the things that I do to create the fun is, I want to educate you on keto, but I want you to enjoy that education, enjoy that process, because
Mhm.
here's the thing: if it's not fun, we are not sticking to it. If it's not
I'm not.
something that we
Let me just be
enjoy.
honest. I'm not. Me and pizza have a really good
Exactly.
relationship. So if I'm not going to be eating it, I need to know that's going to be fun or
Right,
tasty.
exactly. Yep. So
Yes.
we find creative ways to make a meal for our family and for ourselves, right? So
Right.
that everyone can eat without making multiple meals. Because another thing that women struggle with, especially moms struggle with, is
Hmm.
we'll make a meal and we'll end up giving it to. I mean, we'll have to make one for us, one for the kids, one for the husband. Like, who's doing that? I don't even understand that.
I'm not doing that.
No, it's not
No.
happening. So one meal that everyone can eat, and maybe you tweak it a little bit. Um, and so we do that in my membership group. We have monthly like chop and chat. So basically,
Ooh.
we're making meals together, kind of all live, and we're talking about the meal. We've got meal plans. We've got obviously workout plans, and we also have live workouts once a month. So we get together live and we work out together.
Mhm.
And then we have a Zoom where you can get on at any time and work out with other women. So it's a really cool way to just kind of to interact and connect, right?
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
and then of course you got your education on keto, and
Hmm.
we've got our support group and community where everyone's coming together and really getting healthy together. And you feel like people have become friends in this.
Yeah.
You'll see some of the ladies going on trips together and things like that. And it's like, whoa, y'all are really tight,
Yes.
and I
That's
love that
community. Yeah,
because you
that's
build your
community.
community, and that's
Hmm.
huge. That's a
Hmm.
major part of it. But and on top of that, it's that accountability that
Hmm.
most people need in order to lose the weight and keep it off, because accountability is so key. And a lot of times folks will be like, oh, I've got me and my best friend are doing it. And then the best friend falls off. And so now you're trying to go and you last another 2 weeks. And then now you've both fallen off. And now you're going to, have ice cream together, because the
Because it's
because the
over.
keto is completely gone. So
Yes.
keeping that accountability in a group of several women. Now you've got tons of friends in that community to support you and keep you accountable on your journey, and we aren't falling off, we're keeping this thing going. And we've got monthly mindset chats. So, and if you think about it, I've mentioned several monthly different things, which means that we essentially are having weekly
Something. There's
live
something,
chats.
everything, every once a
Right,
week. Yeah.
exactly. Yep, to keep
Yeah.
it going, and daily support through our support group. So
Mhm.
it's a really awesome community and a great way to make that change.
Yeah. It's about the lifestyle. It's about transforming your mind so that then your body follows, really. And then I guess your fork
Exactly.
and spoon as well. They all
Yeah.
follow afterwards.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Yes.
we do mindset coaching. I do mindset coaching. I
Hmm.
call it Monday mindset. And
Yes.
so we're together on Mondays, and we're kind of thinking about things like, one of the first things we look at is our why. You
Mhm.
know, what is your why? What's that thing? And that why needs to be important enough that it's going to push you and drive you. It's going to be something that when you feel like it's time to give up, I can say, well, what about this? We can say,
Yes.
what about this? This is
Yes.
important. For me, it was
Absolutely.
my daughter.
Mhm.
I had 3 sons and I stayed 300 pounds. I stayed over 300 pounds. But
You're
when
like,
she
I
was
love
born,
you. However,
right,
yes.
exactly. Because to me, I didn't look at it as, oh, I won't be here for them. I thought I was invincible.
Mm.
So I thought I'd be here. But I looked at it as they can mimic dad. My husband's the healthiest fit person in the world. So it's like they can mimic him, right?
Right.
But when she was born, I knew she was going to look to
Mimic
me.
you.
So I knew I needed to change. And
Yeah.
that's what my why was. So I
Mhm.
always tell my clients, I'm like, let's talk about your why. Let's find that why. What is it? We got to dig deep.
Mhm.
And that why might just be, you know, getting rid of that emotional trauma when it comes to food, like understanding what that emotional trauma is, and how to soothe and push through that.
Yes.
So, but it's got to be something that's going to push you.
That is powerful. That
Mhm.
is why you're here. That is one of the reasons that I am so excited that you are a sponsor of the Awesomeness in Action radio show. I look forward to having you back next month so we can dive deeper into what you've seen are trends that go bad in the fitness area and in the health industry as you continue to support others. So thank you so much for being here today. I want to make sure everybody knows where they can find you, so they can go to ilekafalette.com. Ilekafalette.com. So that is ILEKAFALETTE.com to learn more, to sign up for the programs, and share it. Everybody out there, share it, because if you're sitting with someone and you're breaking bread with them and they're talking about they want to be healthier, they can go and get connected with Ileka so that she can walk them through their journey. And so thank you all for being here. If you are interested in being a sponsor on the Awesomeness in Action radio show, I want you to email me at radio@giverofawesomeness.com. That's radio@giverofawesomeness.com. And until next week, remember to be blessed, and always remember awesomeness is in you. Take care, everybody.